Hey, today we're going to talk about dinosaurs. So why are we talking about dinosaurs, you ask? But firstly, why shouldn't we talk about dinosaurs? Dinosaurs are amazing. But also, I recently just kind of found myself in a creative rut and also being really negative a lot of the time. So I just thought I wanted to do a kind of different video, but also about something I love. And I love dinosaur media in all its forms. So today we're going to talk about why I love dinosaur media. We're going to go over a few forms of dinosaur media, like the big four: movies, TV shows, video games, and books, and why I like them, which one I do like, and which ones I maybe don't. Then we're also going to go over why there may not be as many of these pieces of media as someone would expect with something as popular as dinosaurs. And yeah, with that said, I hope you enjoy this video, and why don't we get into it? Part 1. Why do I love dinosaur media? So, again, why wouldn't I love dinosaur media? Dinosaurs are awesome. I think everybody on some level had a fascination with dinosaurs once. I have been a dinosaur fan ever since I was a little child. You know, some people have an obsession with cars. Some people have an obsession with, I don't know, hobbies, but I had an obsession with dinosaurs. I really like these prehistoric beasts, and I just think that they're the perfect monsters. They're intriguing in the same way that movie monsters like Godzilla or maybe aliens in like a sci-fi way are, but there is just an additional layer of believability to them, since they did actually once exist in our time. So I don't know, that just makes it even more interesting for me. The way that you can actually go to museums and look at like the remains of them, and then seeing them in a movie come to light or read about them in a book, as inaccurate as some of these descriptions may be, just I think that's so interesting. And don't get me wrong, I do love monsters and aliens as well, but dinosaurs just hit different. Also, I do think that they have something about them that is maybe the perfect mix between awe as well as being terrifying, because they are beautiful. Some of these creatures look so interesting, and the way that different people conceptualize different dinosaurs, the way that our conceptions of what they may have looked like have evolved throughout the ages, I think it's all so interesting. But then they're also like terrifying, because while we may not have much data on their behavior, and I do think that a lot of movies and pieces of media tend to make them a lot more bloodthirsty than they might actually have been, it's still interesting because at the one hand they're beautiful, but then you always have a velociraptor scene from Jurassic Park, and it's this kind of mix between thrilling and really beautiful that I just really love here. Also, these are kind of special because I do actually not like a lot of dinosaur things. Like, you will see it once we get into the media section of this video, but I do have a lot of gripes with a lot of dinosaur media, but I still just have this intense feeling that I love dinosaurs themselves, and I will gravitate to everything that has it in them, no matter what the quality of that piece of work may be. So yeah, there's just something about dinosaurs that I love very much, and I know that this probably didn't do a good job explaining it, but I don't care. I really do love them, believe me. And with that, why don't we get into the pieces of media that feature dinosaurs? Part 2, movies that feature dinosaurs. So I do think we should start with the obvious and talk about the most famous dinosaur movie there is, probably a very important movie as well for what it did to special effects, and that is Jurassic Park. There is a Jurassic Park section in every one of the media sections of this video because there is just a lot of Jurassic Park media. But we're gonna start with the movie, and I do have to say that I love it. I have been obsessed very late with this movie. I think I watched it for the first time in the 2020s when I was in lockdown, because I was obsessed with dinosaurs as a child, but my mom thought that this movie was too scary for me. And I do think that it strikes a very good balance between this awe and between being terrifying. Like, this movie is not very scary, but it has some very tense moments. And so I do think it strikes a very good balance. And I do think that this really exemplifies what I said before about dinosaurs both being beautiful but also scary. And yeah, this movie is great. It has great special effects for when it came out. They still look amazing and have obviously inspired so much of our conception of what dinosaurs may look like, even though most of it probably may be scientifically very inaccurate. Just think of the velociraptors and how they're definitely too big, but they're just iconic. And I mean, it spawned a hugely successful franchise. And while I do not love everything about those, I mean, I do like Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, and I liked Jurassic World when I watched, but it's definitely in dire need of a rewatch. And then I didn't hate Rebirth as much as I expected it to, but the other movies I can give or take. 3 is stupid but funny.
Alan.
I really, really dislike Fallen Kingdom and also am intensely disappointed with Dominion. So yeah, you can give or take some of these, but I just love these movies and they have a special place in my heart for what they did, and they're so important to dinosaur cinema. And yeah, I do think that they're just amazing. So yeah, this is the first entry in the dinosaur movies thing, and I definitely think that they're a worthy entry. So the next movie on my list of dinosaur movies is actually 65. I don't know why this is the second thing I thought of, but you can definitely see the decline in quality like immediately taking effect. This is a movie from 2023, 2024, maybe, I don't know, but this one stars Adam Driver, and it's basically about this guy. Oh, if I didn't explain the concept of Jurassic Park, I'm sorry, but I think we all know that one, so I'm gonna just do it for the other movies. And it's basically about this guy who crash lands on this planet and it has dinosaurs on it. And I think there's a little girl involved or something. And honestly, I just do not remember a lot about this movie. I just also remember not being impressed by it, not really liking it. I mean, it looks decent for definitely not having as high a budget as Jurassic Park movies nowadays normally do, but I just thought it was totally unremarkable, and it really like didn't do anything in like the cultural zeitgeist. I think most people have forgotten about this movie, so that is definitely sad. And yeah, I think this is just a problem with dinosaur movies and why we don't get enough of them, because if something else other than Jurassic Park comes out, there just tend to be a lot of failures in there, like 65. And I do hope that there will be more in the future, but yeah, I'm just a little scared for this entire genre, because other than Jurassic Park, you really don't have that many successes here. The other one that I remembered watching was the Dinosaur Project, which is this kind of Blair Witch Project. I mean, there's a lot of movies with like project in the name that take inspiration from the Blair Witch Project, but it's like this found footage movie about dinosaurs and them, I think, being found in some kind of remote location in Africa. And I watched this movie a long time ago, but I also remember not really enjoying it that much. I mean, it's very low budget, and for that, it doesn't look that bad, I think. But I also watched it a long time ago, so I could totally misremember it. But I also thought it was really unremarkable, so yeah, not really that great. And then I also remembered the Carnosaur franchise. So the Carnosaur movies are these Roger Corman movies that came out around the same time as Jurassic Park, basically as this like cheap exploitation cash in on the brand name and dinosaurs just being hot at the moment. And there are 3 of them. I only watched 2, and technically there's also more. I think there's like 2 or 3 more, like the Eden Formula and Raptor, that are technically not sequels to the Carnosaur story, but use a lot of footage from those movies, and so technically are like considered sequels by some people. I just have not watched them, and the Carnosaur movies are not great. The 2 I watched are silly, campy fun. I mean, the first one is about this lady that basically manipulates chicken eggs to hatch dinosaurs, and but also the kind of virus infects women too, and so women like give birth to these chicken eggs that hatch dinosaurs, and that's her plan to take over the entire world or something. And it's very silly. There is a lot of blood. It's definitely more gory than Jurassic Park is, but also Jurassic Park definitely needed to go mainstream with how high of a budget it had with all of its special effects and everything. And this definitely is. So the dinosaurs do not look good. You can see all the men in suits and the puppetry and everything. But I still think there's a certain charm to be had here. They're just not like good movies per se. And there's also dinosaur movies I haven't watched. I mean, there's Primitive War from last year, which I'm actually very interested in. It just hasn't been on any streaming service. It didn't go to any cinema near me. And one day I will probably have to fork over the cash to just watch it on premium video on demand, but I still am holding out. But this one I think is a war movie about dinosaurs in the Cold War or the Vietnam War. I don't quite remember, but I'm definitely interested in this one. I heard that it's good, but not great. But if some of these like lower budget dinosaur movies could come out more often, I would definitely appreciate that. So I am really hopeful that this will be good once I watch it. Also, there's a lot of asylum movies that feature dinosaurs. They are obviously sometimes in relation to a recent Jurassic Park or Jurassic World project that has come out, and they're just like cheap ripoffs of that, like they always do with like every movie. But there's also just a lot of like standalone movies. They're always kind of terrible. I never actually like really watched one of them, but I did see a lot of YouTube recaps of like, oh my god, did you see this terrible dinosaur movie? And yeah, it's what do you expect from like an asylum or one of these like low budget movies? But they exist too. And obviously there's also like older movies like The Wall-E of Gwangi, because dinosaur movies were really popular back when like stop motion animation was like still in. And I never watched one of those. I heard a lot of good things about The Wall-E of Gwangi specifically. Also, I do think that you could consider some of the like non-Monster vs. King Kong movies technically dinosaur movies, but it's about King Kong. But there are a lot of dinosaurs in, especially like the 2005 one. I've seen that one. I really like that movie, but and like the dinosaurs are really, they look cool. But I'm getting off track. Like they obviously exist, but I've never seen one of them. So yeah, I don't know. Part 3. Dinosaur TV shows. So obviously with movies, there's also TV shows that feature dinosaurs. And here I have even less cachet because I don't think I've only ever like really watched a few of them. The first one I really remember is Camp Cretaceous, and this is the Jurassic World Netflix spin-off series. I've watched like 3.5 seasons of it. I think there's either 4 or 5. I don't quite remember, but I remember hopping off during the 4th one because then it just started getting ridiculous. But before that, it's basically about these kids that during the events of Jurassic World were abandoned at this camp and now have to fight for survival on the Jurassic World island. And I think as a parallel story, it works quite well. Season 3 in particular probably is my favorite implementation of the hybrid storyline in all of Jurassic Park media, for reasons that I think this one is just way scarier than even the Indominus and Indoraptor try to be. And I do still think that the concept of the hybrids is inherently silly, and I like it more as a fan fiction-y type idea than something they actually executed in the movies, because in the movies it just kind of seems a little desperate. Oh my god, like what monstrosity can we come up with next? But I really liked the implementation of that dinosaur in the 3rd season. If I could remember its name, it would be even better, but I can't, so I'm sorry, but I'm gonna put in footage, so you definitely get to see it. And yeah, so I hopped off during the 4th season because the new island and everything with like the robots and stuff, it just started getting a little ridiculous. But what I saw of it, I did really like. So yeah. So also in the realm of TV, there is a lot of docu-series around dinosaurs. I only remember watching one, and that was Netflix's most recent, The Dinosaurs. This one is like a CG animated show, and it's not like amazing in terms of like plot, because I definitely didn't know all of the information about dinosaurs, because they pick definitely like some obscure topics as well, but it also like wasn't anything groundbreaking that I've never heard before. But if you are just a casual dino fan or just like looking at dinosaurs, which I definitely do as well, I would definitely recommend this show because it is pretty pleasing to look at, and just like looking at dinosaurs is always great in my opinion. So it's good in that way, and like these docuseries kind of always do well because people are just inherently fascinated with dinosaurs, like I am too. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that one, but it's like not groundbreaking. In terms of things I have not watched, there's also Primal, which is like this cartoon show, and I heard really good things about it. It's also like insanely violent, I think, and definitely is like not scientifically accurate dinosaurs in any way. There's also like humans in it, but it plays like a dinosaur time, so whatever. But I definitely heard it's very good. So yeah, I probably want to check it out, but like I don't know where it's available, so I don't know. Also, there's like this old BBC show that was called Primeval, I believe. I think that one is more about dinosaur time travel, and I think it also had like some sci-fi stuff in there, so it's not like purely a dinosaur show, but it had a lot of dinosaurs and prehistoric monsters, and I was always interested in that because back when I used to like just scroll on TikTok or like watch just clips on YouTube of like dinosaur stuff, it always used to come up and I was like always so interested, but it also was like never available anywhere. So yeah, one day I'm definitely want to watch it, but I never did up until now. Also, there's Chaos Theory, which is the follow-up TV series once Camp Cretaceous ended. I think it only got one season, so it probably wasn't as successful. And I have personally never watched it because I also hopped off Camp Cretaceous, and so I have no opinion about it. I also never heard actually anybody really talk about it, so that may not really be good for what people thought of it overall. But if you are interested in Camp Cretaceous, just know that there is a follow up. And also, I think there was a mini series adaptation of Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. I think on BBC. I've definitely seen like images from that one, but I've never seen it as like fully. So yeah, I would be interested, even though The Lost World is not my favorite story. We're gonna get into that. But yeah, I would be interested. I have not seen it. Part 4, Dinosaur Games. So this one is also one that I don't have a lot of investment in, just because the most obvious dinosaur game you may be thinking of is not really available to me. We're gonna get into it just now. But again, we gonna have to start with the obvious, and that's Jurassic Park. There is a lot of Jurassic Park and Jurassic World tie-in video games. I have personally played Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, which is this old park builder game that I used to play on my PC in short bursts before it always decided to like stop working. And I really did like that one. Also, Jurassic Park got this Telltale game that I really liked. It's kind of considered non-canon because it introduces a lot of elements that were just never mentioned again in anything Jurassic related. But on its own, it's kind of really cool. And I definitely remember that the Troodons used to give me nightmares back when I first played that one. So yeah, I thought it was really cool, but also I used to play it on my PC, and also that was a terrible experience. So maybe I'm looking just back on it fondly, but yeah, I definitely remember playing that one. Other Jurassic World and Park media that I haven't played in terms of games is definitely the Jurassic World Evolution series. That one is also a series of park builders that I think definitely took heavy influence from Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, but just brought them to modern consoles. And I think that one is well liked. I have never tried it myself, but it looks cool. And other than that, I definitely mostly remember the Jurassic Park tie-ins from the 90s. There were a lot around the first movie, most famous of them probably being the SNES game. Also, there were a lot around the second movie. There is probably like I think a 3D game on the PlayStation where you can play as a T-Rex, which I seem to remember. Also, there was Warpath, which was this fighting game. I think that was Jurassic Park unrelated, and then they just slapped the Jurassic Park name on it. And I do not think it's a great fighting game from what I heard, but it looks cool, and the dinosaur fighting game sounds cool. So yeah, and also obviously there's the very ambitious but also very flawed failure that was Trespasser. And I would definitely like a modern iteration on that game, and I've always been so fascinated by it, but I've never really been able to track down a copy, and also my PC is not really running that great anymore, so I do not think I could actually start it, but I am definitely still intrigued by that one. And also, just stopping with the Jurassic part and going to the thing you have probably been screaming about, the most obvious dino-related game that isn't Jurassic Park, Dino Crisis from Capcom. There's 3 main games, and the first 2 are liked. I think there's also the spin-off called Dino Stalker that I think was a light gun shooter. And yeah, the third game is not great, but I mean, the first 2 games like look so cool. And I know that the first one is available on PS5, and maybe I want to have to bite the bullet. I'm just not really like great at survival horror games at all. And while I do like to read a lot of horror literature and watch a lot of horror movies, games just scare the shit out of me in like a whole nother way that I just don't enjoy. And I am just not really that great with like old games anyway. So I'm really hesitant to do it. And Capcom just seems really hesitant to remake it in the way they aren't about the Resident Evil games, even though I do think it would be a very similar process. I'm sad about that. But yeah, those 2 are definitely well regarded. I do not know about Dino Stalker and have only heard horrendous things about Dino Crisis 3 on the Xbox. So that one seems to be not well liked. But yeah, that one is definitely a series of very famous dino games. Also, Capcom obviously tried their hand at another dino game with Exoprimal. I was very excited when they first revealed this, but then they revealed it as a premium multiplayer shooter, which is never good because I don't have a great internet connection, and also I'm just not really that amazing in multiplayer games. And then the reviews around it were not great, and it's probably one of the only failures Capcom has had in like the last few years when they've really been only putting out bangers. So I'm really sad about that, and that they not try to do like just another Dino Crisis game. But yeah, that one also exists. Other than that, there's actually not that many dinosaur games, which is sad. I think the one that I've heard the most things about is probably Oakwood, which is, I think, PC only, but it's kind of like this Outlast, Amnesia style, just like walk, run, hide simulator with dinosaurs in it. I think it has like a very weird story from what I remember, because I definitely remember that I like watched at least like one playthrough, although it was like a long time ago. And I think they have put up a follow up since. So I think people genuinely liked it. I just don't have any personal experience with it. Also, I just want to mention this here. There is this channel. I'm going to put it here and also link in the description. I think it's called MNTM, Monotonal Lizard. I'm very sorry if I completely butchered that or totally forgot what the name actually was. But I found that channel through actually a video on a bunch of Jurassic Park tie-in games. And on this channel, there is a lot of videos about dinosaur games. So I'm gonna recommend that one if you just want more information on that, because I just found it very interesting. And as someone like who does play a lot of games, but just for some reason, even though I love it, has not had the time or platforms to try a lot of these dinosaur games, I think that one is a very great channel. So check that one out if you want more information about dinosaur games. Part 5, Dinosaur Books. So books are obviously my bread and butter, and also probably why I decided to put them last, because you're probably sick of hearing me talk about books. But also, we obviously have to start with the obvious one, which is that Jurassic Park is based on a book by Michael Crichton, and I love it. There's Jurassic Park as well as its sequel, The Lost World. And yeah, I do think that they are amazing. Again, I have probably talked about it in the past, how I do not really jive with Michael Crichton's writing style anymore, but I just love the memory I have of these books, and one day I will reread them and probably not love them as much, but for now they're just one of my favorites. They basically follow the same story as the movie, but the book is a lot more scientific jargon, a lot of pseudoscientific stuff, but it also definitely is a thriller and doesn't hold back on being bloody, and I just really like that. Me having like watched the movies only recently and then reading the books, it was so jarring seeing this way more brutal version of what I just experienced as a, while having some scary scenes, ultimately very family friendly movie. But I just think that the books are great, honestly. I really would recommend them so much. And yeah, are just amazing on all fronts. I really love these two. Also, there's a Carnosaur book. Yeah, the Carnosaur movies are also based on a book, but that one is very much not like at all like the movie, because it is very different. It was actually written before Jurassic Park, and there was a little like controversy if it is like if like Jurassic Park ripped it off, and like I don't know how that resolved, but I don't know. I just think it's cool to see like this thing that is way more pulpy, and it's also like around science and like cloning dinosaurs, but it's not as scientific as Jurassic Park. It's just way more of a straightforward horror novel of these dinosaurs being let loose on this British town, but I really liked it. I actually found out about this around the time that I also read the Jurassic Park books, and back then it was totally out of print. You could like get a copy on Amazon for like $400, and I definitely didn't want to do that. But then I think around 2023 or 2024, it got back in print by a publisher I think called Valancourt Press, and you can now buy it as a print version and online again, which I love. That helped me read it, and yeah, I really like that book. It's obviously like not great, but I think it's a cool experience. And if you just want to see what like the original Jurassic Park, like what even came before, I think it's a great read. Also, we have to talk about The Lost World by Arthur Conan Doyle, which is like one of the oldest dinosaur books, if not the oldest book that I've ever read in like the dinosaur genre. And yeah, I definitely have my issues with that one. I only like finished it this year, and there's some definite issues with it. It's about this guy. He is a journalist, and he goes to Professor Challenger. Professor Challenger is kind of like not really well regarded in the scientific community, and the journalist guy wants to expose him as a fraud, but then he kind of gets roped into this expedition where Challenger wants to prove that he isn't a fraud, and well, he isn't, because he did actually find this plateau in South America where dinosaurs are still living to this day. But it is very old, and you can definitely see that, and there is a genocide in this book, and there's just a lot of like racist remarks around literally everybody, but especially the native people that live on the plateau and live around South America. And I'm sorry, I just couldn't really jive with that, and so I really kind of dislike that book. Also, like Challenger is a really annoying character. I just couldn't stand him. So yeah, that one was not great. But if you want to see where a lot of dinosaur media like originated from, because that one is a very old book. I think it came out in the 1910s or 1920s. And yeah, I do think that it probably inspired a lot of our modern fascination with dinosaur media, because there is also like movie adaptations probably of this that I haven't probably talked about in the movie section because I totally forgot. So I'm sorry. But yeah, it's cool, but I just really didn't like it. Then there's also like this obscure book that I don't think anybody has ever heard of, but I once read it because I saw it at a flea market and obviously had to buy it because dinosaurs. And that's Raptor by Paul Zindel. And I absolutely hated that book. I do remember it because I read it at a family vacation, and I think it was our first vacation after COVID. So I do definitely have memories with that book, but I think it was so weird because I do remember that this book was about a Utah raptor, and this book was like, oh my god, yeah, the Utah raptor is like the second biggest carnivorous dinosaur after the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I was like, no, it fucking isn't. And also, the Tyrannosaurus Rex is not even the biggest carnivorous dinosaur. So what are you on about? And then it also brings forward the idea that these Utahraptors basically had like venomous claws, but not like in a way that like snakes have like venomous fangs, but like they literally, like, I think one of them stuck their like finger into the main character and then pumped the venom into him, which was just such a strange visual. And I could totally be making that up, but I do remember that from that book for some reason. And also, I think this book like tried to say that the Utahraptors like webbed up their prey in like nets, like there were spiders or something, and then pumped them full of that venom to like store them for later, which I know we don't have a lot of like remains of dinosaurs because they have been extinct for a long time and we don't know about their behavioral patterns or anything, but that just sounded so wild to me and I kind of hated it at the time. So yeah, I really didn't like that book. But it is another dinosaur book that probably nobody knows about except for me, but I did read it. In terms of ones that I have not read yet, I know that there's one like fantasy book I think called like Boy with Accidental Dinosaur. It just sounds really cute. I think it's about like people that ride dinosaurs for sport or something. So it's definitely a little bit more out there, but I would definitely like that. I also know that Primitive War also was originally a book, and I'm definitely interested in that. I definitely want to read it and watch the movie. So that is also on my list. And also there's this book called Dark Island. I don't know who it's from, but I'm gonna put a photo somewhere of it. And yeah, I think that one is also just like one of more like horror, like sci-fi thriller type of stuff. But yeah, I might enjoy that. Maybe like more so in the vein of Carnosaur or something. But yeah, that's on my list. So with the media stuff out of the way, we have to get into part 6. Why is there not more dinosaur media? So what I just described has probably been a very long account of a lot of dinosaur media. And you might think, yeah, this is a lot. But I'm telling you, it's kind of actually like not. Because if you look at things like superheroes, and how much superhero media there has been over the last like 10 to 15 years, then like all the dinosaur media that I've just told you about, and it goes like back to like the 1910s with like The Lost World, it pales in comparison, totally. So why do I think it's not? Well, firstly, with like movies, there's definitely, I think, a budget issue because Jurassic Park set the precedent for these beautiful CGI dinosaurs, and that just can only be replicated with a certain budget. And we have seen like the Asylum movies can't probably cost much, but they also look like us. And there have been lower budget projects like Primitive War or 65, but 65 hasn't done well at all. It's not in the cultural zeitgeist anymore. And I don't know about Primitive War, but like it's when these projects fail, there's obviously then precedent to only do it in these high budget situations. And that just is discouraging because what if those fail as well? And I do think there are more upcoming dinosaur movies. I have heard that like the End of Oak Street movie that I think is coming out this summer may also have dinosaurs in it, or maybe it's like one of its main marketing points. I don't know. I just heard this movie in relation to dinosaurs, so I'm excited. But I also have heard that it's written by J.J. Abrams or like directed by him, and I've never really enjoyed a movie by him. So I don't know. But yeah, that one is definitely a thing. So yeah, probably budget issues in movies. I also think that it's just with dinosaurs that are just 3 common story arcs that you can go by. That is like either genetic engineering, which is obviously like what Jurassic Park did and what Carnosaur did, or there's time travel, which we have in Dino Crisis, or it's just dinosaurs have been alive and we just didn't know it, which is something that the Lost World obviously has. And I don't know how you could really innovate on that front, because, like, how have dinosaurs survived? How do dinosaurs exist when you not do like one of these three very overused acts? But also, like, overused is relative because there is not that much dinosaur media, so who cares? But like, yeah, probably that is a problem. How do you do a original dinosaur concept, because there probably are just these three? And about like dinosaurs in video games, I do think that it's probably difficult because you probably would have to go to indie development, because especially in like those AAA gaming spaces with all their high fidelity graphics and everything, it is probably very difficult to like model these dinosaurs, and it would probably take a lot of effort that it just didn't when everything was like so low poly back in like the Dino Crisis days and everything. So I could think that that may be an issue. And also, there are more dino games that I didn't talk about, but the problem is that this entire market has just been flooded by a lot of AI things. I know that there was one like a few years back called Dino Break, which was just a horrible reskin of this company's Resident Evil clone, just with dinosaurs put in it, and it was just not good in the slightest. And it also had a lot of AI art used, which I just do not want to support, so I didn't shout it out in the game section. And then there's obviously also 2026's first flagship, like really big bad game, which is Code Violet. And while I'm not convinced that that game had like that as much AI used as something like Dino Break, there is definitely AI art in the game that I saw. So yeah, I do not really want to support that one either. And also, from the looks of it, from the reviews I've seen, from the playthroughs, it also just isn't a great game without the AI either. So yeah, not great. And there's just a lot of these projects that probably have flooded the Steam store or anything. So I don't know. I mean, there's probably like promising upcoming stuff in that department. I think there's one called The Lost Wild, which definitely looks good, as well as Jurassic Park has been getting its own like survival game, but I don't know how the development on that is going. So I don't know. But yeah, I do not think I've really stated a conclusive reason on why there's not more dinosaur media, because honestly, I just don't really know. But yeah, I hope that this video has definitely given you a look at a lot of dinosaur media, because I just love dinosaur media. And I definitely still want to check out most of the stuff that is on this list. And I definitely want to still check out most of the like not watched, not played, not read stuff that is still on this list, because dinosaurs are just cool. And if you also think so, then I don't know, give this video a like or something. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, or maybe leave a comment. Maybe leave a comment with like other dino media that I haven't mentioned in this video, because I know that I don't remember like 3,000 things, because I didn't really do research. It's just like the dinosaur media I still have like vividly in my mind. So yeah, and like, I don't know, maybe give me a subscription or something or whatever. And I hope you enjoyed this. Why am I sounding so depressed? And bye!